Dear students, in my last video I discussed about organizational communication, how this is done, what are the types of organizational communication, and what is the purpose that the two types are used. In this video, we will discuss about the direction of communication flow. So, how does this organizational communication happens? So, there are four types basically in the formal manner. Like in my last video, I told you that we have organizational communication as formal communication also and informal communication also. So, when it comes to the formal communication or the work related communication that we have, you can see four types in terms of how the information is passed or information flows from one person to the other. The four types are, as you can see in this material, downward communication, upward communication, lateral communication, and diagonal communication. So we will take all the four types of flow of communication one by one, starting with firstly downward communication. So communication that flows downward from a manager to an employee. So as you can see that downward means from upwards to downwards, that is from someone sitting at a higher position or at a higher post to person sitting below that person, that is lower to the previous one, and then next lower to that previous one. So from up to down. This you can understand more clearly by this example. As you can see, on top we have the president of the company, and from the president of the company the information is passing on to the vice president production and also to the vice president marketing. So the president is senior, and from the president to the next immediate junior, that is vice president of production and marketing, the information is flowing. Then from the vice president production, the information is passing downwards to assistant vice president plant 1, also assistant vice president plant 2, and from vice president marketing only we have assistant vice president north and assistant vice president south. So you can see that from president to vice president and then to assistant vice president, from top to bottom the information is flowing. So what is the benefit that you have here? That instructions are very much clear and everything is centralized, that is under the control of the topmost person of the company. So this you see basically in a bureaucratic form of organization where the president holds the final decision or the call and everyone else is plainly following what is being instructed, what is being asked from them. That is a figure of downward communication. Next we have upward communication, that is from bottom to top, from the lowermost level of the pyramid to the topmost or the pinnacle of the pyramid, the information is passing or gets transferred. So communication that flows upward from the employee to the manager. So here the employee who is at a lower level is passing the information, is giving some details to the senior, and then those details are transferred to the next senior person in the company, and this way from the lowermost position to the topmost position the information flows. Like you can see here, subordinate and is passing the information upwards to the superior. Subordinate is the lower level and superior is the one above him in position. That is from downward to upward the information flows. This you can see as upward communication. Now at third we have lateral communication. So what is lateral communication? When information flows horizontally uh, among individuals who are at the same level in the organization, the information gets passed. Like if you have two vice presidents in the earlier example, as you saw, vice president marketing and vice president production, so they can communicate among themselves. And also when we had assistant vice president plant 1, assistant vice president plant 2, and assistant vice president plant 3, so also they can communicate among themselves because they are at the same level, at the same position or rank in the organization. So here as you can see, communication that takes among any employees on the same organizational level, as I told you that for the employees who are on the same position in the company, the communication if done among them is lateral communication. Like you can see a purchase manager, production manager and sales manager. So from the purchase manager information can pass to the production manager, from the purchase manager information flows to the sales manager, again from the production manager to the sales manager. Also the sales manager can pass information to the purchase manager. Like individuals at the same level can pass information to one another or ask things from one another if needed, because many times it happens that one department needs some information from the other department. So people holding the same rank in different departments can talk to each other and get the information instead of reporting to the senior in their department, and then the senior will instruct the other department and then you get the information. So this is unnecessary wastage of time. So lateral communication helps at times in saving the time and unnecessary flow of communication. Also when I discussed about the upward communication, one point that is very important to say is that this form of communication is very much preferred in organizations that give importance to employee grievances, or that give very much importance to every person who is working at the lower level of the firm. Because by upward communication, if any employee, any new joinee or any individual is having fresh ideas, is having inputs or is having work related problems, then he or she can readily approach the senior. He or she can talk to the senior, like if they are doing some work and they are having some doubts or problems, or they have to add on something or tell something to their senior, then they can just directly contact them. Also, the seniors at times can get feedback from the employees because of this, that how is their work going, are they happy or comfortable in their position or in their work or in their environment. So this sort of communication supports a healthy atmosphere, a healthy environment in the company. Then we have the fourth type of communication to discuss, that is diagonal communication. So, communication that cuts across work areas and organizational levels. By diagonal communication, we mean that in this form of formal communication, there is no proper channel that is actually considered. Like, it's not that people at the same level can only contact, or a senior can approach junior, and then that is, it is not top to bottom, it is not bottom to top, it is not in line or horizontal. Uh, it is a mixture of lateral, then downward and upward. It is basically a mixture of all the three forms of communication, so the information can be passed in any manner when it comes to work. There is no proper sequence or proper, you can say, direction that is actually used. This will be more clear with this example. As you can see, diagonal communication, we have top management, then manager, and manager. So, manager is having assistant manager 1, assistant manager 2, assistant manager 3, and assistant manager 4. That is, 4 assistant managers are working under the manager. And then we have again, manager is having assistant manager 1, 2, 3, and 4. So again, 4 assistant managers are working under the manager. And so you can see that communication is flowing from top management to manager, then to the assistant manager. This is a form of top to bottom or downward communication. But also at the same time, the assistant manager is able to contact the third manager directly. So this is again that he can contact his senior also, and even the assistant manager 2 can contact assistant manager 3, and they can communicate among themselves also. So there is no any fixed pattern that is followed. It is a mixture of all the above 3 forms of communication flow, and thus it is called diagonal communication. Also, this was all that we discussed about the formal communication, how it flows, and we also have informal communication, as I told you, in the organization that you are a part of or we see in organization. So, how does information flow in informal manner? For this, we have a very common term that we have given it, that is grapevine. So, as you can see, how you find a grapevine, a bunch of grapes, how they are connected in a vine. In the same manner, the informal communication flows, like you can see here. Informal communication, a network formed on the basis of several relations exist. So in this, as informal is mainly based upon what level of or how much close you are bonded in your interpersonal relationships. So you can see like a candidate or person A is passing information to person B. So A is friends with B, and then A is also friends with C, and this person C is friends with G, H, and I, and A is again friends with D, who is friends with I, and I is transferring to person K. So in this way the information is being circulated among various members depending upon who is having friendship with whom, and in this way this information is getting spread like from one person, that is A, to a number of persons. So a good advantage of grapevine communication is that at times what organizations find a good point in grapevine is that they can pass on information at a very high speed. Like one person A has the information and it gets passed on to maybe 20 people that he is actually connected directly or indirectly. 20 might be very less if we are talking about like a particular division, but also at times to 40 people, 50 people in very less time. And this grapevine promotes interactions among people. Also, at times, companies can keep a check on their employees by using the grapevine. So that's all in this video. Thank you.